Hello, everybody. Welcome back here about another BSN episode today. Today is Tuesday, June 7th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, June 7th here today. A lot of sports were on last night. A lot of exciting sports on last night. The Avalanche and the Oilers. Avalanche move on to the Stanley Cup with the four-game sweep of the Oilers. So it was a pretty quick series. Oilers were just outmanned. I mean, you had Draisaitl who was a little banged up. You had Kane who took had the big hit. I don't know if he was in last night, and then I completely forgot, to be honest, because I was watching the game, and then at like 9:30, 9:40, so I ended up switching over to SNY, and I watched about the first inning of the Met game. Then, I ended up going to bed, so that was kind of my night there for you. But, I watched about an inning of the Met game, and Blake Snell threw like a ton of pitches in the first inning. Mets ended up winning. Eduardo Escobar had a cycle. I saw a single of the cycle. I did not see the double, triple, or home run. So, got to see a little bit of the history on that game there. But, the Avalanche were just a better team, and that's kind of really where what it comes down to. They were just a better hockey team in the series. Better, they were. The goaltending was kind of iffy. First game had 14 combined goals. Then last night was 6-5. It was just not great goaltending. It also is two high-powered offenses going back and forth with each other. So Avalanche move on to the Stanley Cup, and hopefully they face the New York Rangers, who Game 4's tonight back in Tampa. Big game tonight. I mean, this game tonight, this is a huge game tonight. You win tonight, you take a 3-1 lead back to the Garden. The series is in your hands. The series is in your hands. Then all you got to do is find a way to win. So, the Rangers know what it takes to bounce back from losses. They've done it a ton of times this season. It was a tough loss on Sunday. They know how to bounce back. They know how to respond. Hopefully they can do that tonight. Excuse me. So that's what you're hoping. That's what you're hoping for. Bounce back tonight, get the win, go to the Garden up 3-1, and let's see where the series goes after that. Because if you're up 3-1 going back to the Garden, similar to Colorado, the Avalanche, all they needed to find a way to do was take one in Edmonton. They took both, but they just needed to find a way to take one. Because if they took one in Edmonton, they go back Game 5 to Colorado, and they would have got the dub. Obviously, they didn't need to go back to Colorado. They ended up sweeping them, but still, they ended up sweeping them, but still, all they needed to do, they took both. But from the Rangers' standpoint now, you just got to find a way to just take one. That's all. One, get it tonight, move on to Thursday, which will be Game 5 then at the Garden. An opportunity to win it at home, get some rest. And then, believe the Stanley Cup starts June, is it the 19th? I don't know what it is exactly. I know it's a little bit later on. Both teams are going to have some time off, however long the series is went. Anyway, so Yankees tonight against the Twins as well. That should be a good one. Yankees a team, 6 straight wins. You took care of business against the Angels, 3 straight games there. You had the perfect game by Tyona, went into the 8th inning, ended up not going that far. 8th inning, ended up getting a hit. We all know what Cole did, went through 6 against the Tigers. You got a game tonight against the Twins. 3 straight here, starting up against the Twins. To look at the week for the Yankees, you have 3 against the Twins, so Game 1's tonight. And then on Friday, you welcome the Cubs into town for your first interleague matchup, which will start on Friday to Sunday against the Cubs at the stadium. So Yankees Game 1 tonight of the 3-game set. Mets will start up tonight as well, or second game of the 3-game set tonight against the Padres. They took care of business last night, 11-5. Like I said, some history was made last night with Eduardo Escobar hitting for the cycle, something you don't see very often. I believe him and Christian Yelich, I think, are the only 2 this season that have actually hit for the cycle. Christian Yelich did against the Reds early in the year, and the Brewers actually lost that game. And then, obviously, Escobar did it last night. And like I said, I saw the single of it, which was actually a big single because it got an RBI in. It was the long first inning that Blake Snell threw, like 40-something pitches. And that's what the Mets do to you. They raise up the pitch count. They work counts. 3-2, 2-2, foul balls off. They force you to make that perfect pitch. Because if you miss a little bit, if you just miss a little bit, they're either going to foul it off or they're going to make you pay with a big hit. They force you to make that perfect pitch in very high-pressure situations. 3-2 count, 2 outs, bases loaded. They forced Blake Snell to make a perfect pitch. He couldn't do it. They walked him. Then Escobar came up, got a hit. So those are the type of things that the Mets do to you, and that's what this new coaching staff and that's what this new, hitting coach and all that will do. work at bats, work counts, very good at bats, they make competitive at bats. They're not going to go down very lightly. All right, so the topics for today's podcast, we got Warriors-Celtics Game 2 recap. So we're going to recap that. Like I said, yesterday, I was not able to do it yesterday. I ended up doing Rangers, and then I wanted to get to the Yankees and the Mets update coming out of the weekend. Both teams had a successful weekend considering the way things started for the Mets on Thursday and Friday. They were able to get the job done on Saturday and Sunday, got the job done again yesterday. Yankees right now riding high, 6-game win streak. They look to continue that tonight against the Twins. So we're going to get to the Warriors and Celtics. We're going to recap Game 2, which took place on Sunday. It wasn't as good as Game 1. It was a blowout. Wasn't as close, wasn't as wild of a comeback in Game 1. But Game 2 was a blowout. We expected to see that response from Golden State. They did that. Now series is tied 1-1, going to Boston. And this is what Boston wanted, right? Boston, I think, at least wanted to at least split coming out of, after winning Game 1, maybe you had in mind winning the first two. But you just wanted to find a way to split in Golden State because that's a tough place to play against a really good team, against some very good players. So we're going to recap Game 2, get you ready for Game 3, which will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, which will be 8-9 Eastern in Boston. So Games 3 and 4 will be in Boston. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it's a 2-2 series going back to Golden State or, however this plays out. It's going to be interesting. So lot to look forward there. We're going to get to Aaron Donald's new contract as well. The retirement rumors, the retirement possibilities of Aaron Donald are over with. He is going to be a Ram for the next couple of years. Fresh off of winning the Super Bowl with the Rams last season, and not just winning it, but being a huge part of it. He has worked on a new contract, a kind of a new terms to the contract, making him the highest non-quarterback pay, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. So some big money going to Aaron Donald, and the retirement possibility, the retirement rumors are over with. He is going to be a Ram. He's going to stay with the Rams. He's going to continue with them, and we'll see if they go ahead and try to win another. We'll see if they go ahead and win another Super Bowl because they got the talent to do so. It's just a matter if they can do it. And I think it's definitely possible, especially with Donald coming back. So we'll get to that. Then we'll finish it off. Like I said, Yankees tonight, first game of the 3-game set against the Twins. Mets. Second game of the 3-game set against the Padres and the Rangers. Game 4 tonight. Big one tonight. You win tonight, you go back to the Garden with a 3-1 series lead. You got to feel very good about where you're at. You lose tonight, well, then the series is right back up 50-50 shot. So you got to win tonight. Got to get the job done. Move on. Bounce back from the tough loss on Sunday. Get the win. Go back home with a commanding 3-1 series lead. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get into it. So we're going to start things off today with the Warriors and the Celtics Game 2 recap. Like I mentioned, was not able to get it done yesterday. Wanted to get to the Yankees and the Mets instead, with both of them having very good weekends. But the Warriors and the Celtics Game 1 did not disappoint. You had the amazing fourth quarter comeback by the Celtics, in which where they were just able to... They just came back. I mean, it was really wild. The Warriors were dominating the entire game. You go to the fourth quarter, they get outscored 40-16, and we're sitting here talking about, the Celtics having a 1-0 series lead going into Game 2. And I think we all knew, I think the majority of us knew the Warriors were going to bounce back. Or if they weren't going to bounce back, it was going to be a close game because, you knew the Warriors could not possibly lose both games with all the talent they got on their home court and have to go to Boston down 2-0, which then makes Game 3 a must-win because you can't fall down 3-0 in a series. That's just an automatic no-no. So the Warriors obviously go into, a Game 2 on Sunday with the mindset of, we got to take care of business because Boston's a tough place to play. And if they win the first 2 games of this series, they got all the momentum, and they got all the momentum going back home. It's not like we're going back home down 2-0. We're going to go on the road then 2-0. So, going into Sunday's game, the Warriors were going to go out there. They were going to give it their all. They were going to do everything they could to get the win because the possibility of falling down 2-0 and going to Boston just can't happen. It can't happen in any series, especially in the NBA. So they dominated in Game 2. Now, it's funny because this game started off very good. It was back and forth. High-scoring first quarter. Warriors get off to the 1-point lead in the first quarter, 31-30. And you go into the second quarter up by 1. And it was a very tight contest. It was a lot, there wasn't much defense. It wasn't a lot of defense, but it was a lot of scoring. It was a lot of opportunities. a lot of chances. Both teams took advantage, and there was just a lot of all around. It was an offensive, there was rhythm. Both teams, I think after game 1, where maybe there was a little bit more of a choppy start, game 2, both teams get the feel for what each team's going to do. Boston really gets the feel of what the home crowd and what it's like going to play on the road. And Golden State kind of got a feel of what Boston's going to bring to the table in terms of toughness, grit, defense. And you got to expect Tatum's going to bounce back. Now, Tatum did bounce back in a big way. But unlike game 1, the pieces around him did absolutely nothing. It was the pieces around Tatum in game 1 that raised them. In game 2, the pieces around him did absolutely nothing. Al Horford was silent. Marcus Smart was silent. Robert Williams did nothing. Jaylen Brown had 17, but he had a tough night shooting. He went 5 of 17 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3. Jason Tatum was the main guy with Boston. And the fact, and it's crazy to think, and this is why if you're a Celtic fan, you have to feel somewhat optimistic about the rest of the series, because your best player was your only good player. He was the only good one. The rest of the starting lineup, 2 points, 17 points, 2 points, 2 points. Your bench was all right. White had an all right game, but terrible from shooting. I mean, the Celtics were awful. They shot 38% from the field. It was terrible. And most of that comes from the second half, which they really, really struggled. They go down at halftime, down 52-50. They're only down by 2 going into the half, and this is with Tatum, the only one that's doing anything, and the rest of the lineup just quiet, not helping him out whatsoever. But it was only a matter of time when that big quarter was coming for Golden State, and it was only a matter of time of when Boston was going to cool down, and it was not going to, and the fact that Jason Tatum was the only one doing anything, it was going to come back to bite him. They got outscored in the third quarter, 35-14. Celtics couldn't get any shots to fall. They were just not, their defense wasn't good. Golden State was just coming out firing. Steph Curry, all around. You had Jordan Poole, who was putting up, deep shots, which Steph does all the time. So it's almost like you had 2 Steph Currys on the court when Poole hit that one shot that was almost by the logo to end the third quarter going into the fourth. So there's just a lot to like if you're Golden State in that third quarter. That carried over into the fourth. They got outscored by 4 in the fourth quarter, 24-20, but still, for Boston, it was just such a terrible night shooting. Just such a terrible, terrible night. 38% from the field, 41% from 3, which was the same amount Golden State had. And it was funny, neither team could land a free throw. Golden State was 70% from the free throw line. Boston was 76%. So Golden State wins this game by 19. And what I find funny about these two games is like neither team has in these first 2 games has had all their pieces going at the same time. And I find that funny because in game 1, you had Boston where Tatum was terrible, but you had guys like Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown really stepped up. Game 2, Boston was, Tatum stepped up, but the rest of the lineup was terrible. Now for Golden State, game 1, they did their job. Pieces were on. Draymond didn't play very good. But you're not expecting Draymond to go out there and put up 40 for you. Curry played well. All that stuff in game 1. They just blew the lead. They just did not get enough production out of their bench. They just blew the lead. Celtics really came up big late. In game 2, however, Steph Curry carried the load. And his counterpart, Klay Thompson, his duo, was terrible in game 2. So in a way, it's like we haven't seen either of these teams, which is why I think there's still so much left in this series for different possibilities of how this thing could play out. This series is up in the air right now. Because what I see is in game 1, Tatum was terrible. He was awful. Your best player was awful and they won the game. Game 2, Tatum was great, but there was nobody around him helping him. The highest scorer was Jaylen Brown, and he was terrible from the field. Right? Now, for the Warriors, they win, but Klay Thompson was shot 1 of 8 from 3 and an overall 4 of 19 from the field, and Golden State couldn't land a free throw. They shot 70% from the free throw line. That's terrible. So that's why I feel like, coming out of Game 2, Golden State got the response they needed to get, and I understand that. And Jordan Poole had a great night, so he really helped Curry. But other than that, your starting lineup was Curry with 29, and then it was Draymond with 9, Wiggins with 11, Thompson with 11, Looney with 12. And it wasn't even like they were helping out that much when it comes to assists. Klay Thompson had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. 1 of 8 from 3. 1 of 8 from 3. And it was bad. He was really, really bad in Game 2. So that's why I feel like, coming out of Game 2, the advantage in this series, I still feel like there's not, it's kind of tilted to where, Boston win Game 1, advantage Boston. Golden State wins Game 2, and now it's like, we haven't even seen both teams play at a high level at the same exact time. Like, in terms of all the pieces connecting, everybody producing in the same game. Because Tatum produced last night, but nobody else did anything on Boston. Curry produced, on Sunday. So did Tatum. Sorry, I said last night. Curry produced on Sunday, but Klay Thompson was terrible. And Draymond Green was terrible. Now, to be fair, Draymond Green only took 3 shots. But he also just wasn't getting the looks. He was fouling a little bit. Just wasn't a great night for him. Not that he's going to be your big scorer. He wasn't getting many rebounds either. He had 7 assists and 5 rebounds. He just wasn't at, it wasn't quite his night. So, Curry at 29, 6 boards, 4 assists. But we have not seen where it's like Tatum, Smart, Jaylen Brown all on. And then you had like Curry, Poole, and Klay Thompson all on. And then Draymond, doing what he does, being physical in the paint. We haven't really seen that yet. So that's why I feel like now getting Jordan Poole having a big game too, I think was a big sign for them. I think that's a great sign if you're Golden State. Because in Game 1, he struggled. And I think some of that was his first ever game as an in the NBA Finals. I think a lot of it was, first ever game, the jitters, the nerves. I think that's what a lot of it was. So now this series goes to Boston, and I feel like it's up in the air. Because we haven't seen a night where Klay Thompson, Curry are both on. I mean, I guess you could say kind of Game 1. And Tatum, Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown are both on. Because those are kind of your big names in this series. Now, it was very promising to see Jordan Poole step up. Because Jordan Poole stepping up almost took the place of Klay. Hitting threes, getting big shots, getting to the basket, scoring, doing all that stuff that Klay can do, which Klay didn't do in Game 2. So Game 3 is going to be interesting because it switches. Now Boston's home, TD Garden. You know what that place is going to bring in terms of energy. But look, from both sides of it, you look at Boston fans feel good because, look, you came out of Golden State with a series tied up at 1. Right? So now you go home and, you got to protect home court. And for Golden State terms, you go ahead and say, look, the Celtics were terrible on Sunday. We were scoring, they just could not shoot. Maybe we found a little bit something on defense that worked. And now let's carry that on to the road. So both sides, I think, look at this pretty optimistic because the series is tied 1-1. So both sides look at it as, look, we're going to win this, and the other team looked at, we're going to win this. But I think the advantage right now is 50-50. Because it's been weird because we still have not seen a game where Klay, Draymond, Curry, Poole are all on, and Smart, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown are all on, and they're playing good defense. We haven't seen that yet. Will we see it in Game 3 Wednesday night? We'll see. So Game 3 Wednesday night, 8 Eastern, ESPN. Big. That's big. Game 3 is big. Series tied 1-1. Game 3 is always a big one because you win Game 3. That forces the pressure on your opponent to win Game 4 because it's falling down 3-1 is not easy to come back. Now, like I said, as a Ranger fan, it's funny because as a Ranger fan, I always say not easy to come back, but the Rangers did it this year. So it's always possible. 3-0, done. 3-1, there's still a chance, but not a high one. Now, the Rangers did do it, but tell you what, it was definitely nerve-wracking. So tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, ESPN. It's funny because the Boston actually opens up as favorites in that game, which shows you where people think this series is at. The fact that neither team right now really has the advantage. They're just going with whoever's home court. If the Warriors dominated the first 2 games, I would have said, yeah, this is it. But It's like the first two games have come and gone. It's kind of like, really, what have we learned? Like, this series is not tilting in any way or the other. It really it's not. That's what I'm seeing, at least. I'm sure you could listen to other people out there, basketball people, and they'll say, oh, this series is tilting this way. But from what I'm seeing, from what I've watched, looking at the numbers, and just overall getting a feel for what I've seen, I think this series is very much up in the air. And it's not even like I could sit here and say one side, this is the other, because we just have not seen all these, we haven't seen all Boston's pieces play together in one game yet. I know it's only 2 games, but we also have not seen all Golden State pieces really come together in one game yet and go up against a very good Boston defense. We haven't seen that. So it's going to be interesting if we see that game 3 or at all in Boston. Boston opens up, by the way, 3.5-point favorites, 9 Eastern, ABC on Wednesday. So that should be a good one there. All right, so let's get to the not New York Sports Update. We'll get to the Aaron Donald stuff. Sorry. Looked at my paper and I skipped the line. So we're going to get to Aaron Donald coming up next. The reigning Super Bowl champion, Aaron Donald, one of the best in the league, is going to be coming back. Gets a $40 million raise. This is the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. So he gets a raise, reworks his contract, gets the big money. Donald is not retiring. He's coming back. And why this is another huge, huge lift for the Rams if they want to win back-to-back this upcoming season. We'll get to that and much more coming up next. Welcome back here about the BSN Network podcast here today, Tuesday, June 7th. A lot of news going on. June's usually a little bit of a slow month for the NFL. The one good thing about June is, you're going to have the mini OTAs right now, and you have the mandatory mini camp starting, I think, like for the 14th through the 16th. And you usually get the big storylines there if anybody doesn't show up. If this guy doesn't show up to mandatory mini camp and all that stuff. And that's really the last practice and stuff until training camp. And then we all know once training camp starts up, that's when it really gets big, because you have training camp, then you have, then you get into practice week, and that's the season. So training camp will start up in July. Training camp's always fun to cover. It's awesome. Training camp's a lot of fun to cover because it's every day. Just, listen to all the media. Media's there watching the practices. Fans get to go. I was actually at the Jets training camp in 2019, which was a lot of fun. Got some autographs, and that's where I actually got this football from. This football right here is from training camp in 2019. I got autographs of former Jets players, were current Jets players. Got Jamal Adams on there, Marcus May, and Kelechi Osemele. None of them are on the team anymore, obviously, but still were very big names while they were on the team, especially Jamal Adams, which I've always liked, and I still do like him. I'm one of the only Jet fans out there that will say that I have no issue with him, to be honest with you, because that trade, we've gotten so much good coming out of that trade. It's why it's not like Seattle won the trade by a mile. The Jets have drafted terrible pieces with that trade. We got Garrett Wilson out of it. We got Elijah Vera Tucker out of it. So we've won the trade. Why, hate him? And I guess the breakup was definitely interesting. Because, he kind of outspoke about how poor the team was run, which, to be honest with you, is not false because he was under the Gaze administration. If he comes here now, he'd probably have a lot different to say. I don't think that was I think a lot of it, what he was saying, I think, was attacking Gaze, which I think all of us should actually like because Gaze was terrible. Now, I know the whole contract thing and all that, but either way, we got to get to Aaron Donald. It's not about the Jets, but that was just in general. It's kind of a slow time in the NFL because you have the general offseason stuff, free agency trades, then the draft, and now you're kind of in a little bit of a dead zone where June and then into a little bit of July. But once mid to late July starts up, that's when training camp starts. That goes all the way into August, into September, and eventually into the games. That's still a ways out there. Obviously, we all want to enjoy our summer, enjoy all the baseball and stuff's on. But either way, report Aaron Donald, Rams agree to rework contract, highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. So, Aaron Donald, the rumors, the different possibilities of him retiring, which, as we all said, he's played 8 years in the NFL. As crazy as it may sound, he's played 8 years in the NFL, which isn't a wild amount of time when you put him up against Brady, who's played 22 years in the league. or even like a Stafford who's played, 12, 13 years in the league, which is his quarterback. But, we all know how it was in the Super Bowl, the big storylines coming out of it. With going into the Super Bowl, Aaron Donald said he'd be perfectly fine with retiring if they win it. And, we were all saying, okay, that's if. If they lose, he's coming back because he wants to win one. He's yet to win one going into last year's Super Bowl. He's said many times, if we win the Super Bowl, I may consider retirement. I would be perfectly fine with it. I got what I wanted. I wanted a championship, and he got it. And rightfully so. A lot of guys, that's why they come play. I mean, not a lot of guys. Every player, that's why they come. They come to win championships. They want to play the sport to win championships, right? That's really what it is. So a lot of times when a guy wins a championship, sometimes he feels, all right, that I achieved what I wanted to achieve. I won a championship. I did one of the hardest things to do in all sports. That's be the number one team, the last team standing in all of football. And it's crazy how much is put into a championship, right? We talk about right now, OTAs have started. What's going on right now is all adding up to, getting to that ultimate goal. The amount of work, the amount of hard work that is put in to winning an NFL championship, to winning any championship in any sport, especially 7-game series. I think hockey is actually the hardest championship to win because it's just an 82-game season, and then you have like another season there, just on skates, the amount of, just how tired you must, it's just the sport, the rigor, it's just a rigor, I don't even know how to pronounce the word, rigorous sport. But football is extremely difficult to win. So he, going into the Super Bowl, he wins, and we're all thinking to ourselves, all right, well, here we stand. Donald, does he retire? And all along, I did not think he was going to retire because I think, he wins the Super Bowl. He's still playing at such a high level. He's having an excellent career. I did not envision him leaving. I did not see it happening. Then you start to hear recently, I want a new contract. If I don't get it, I'm probably going to retire. So he's kind of in the phase of his career now where, look, he's got the big payday now. He's still going to look to win, but he's in LA. He's more in the later on part of his career where he's sailing off into the sunset a little bit. Now, he's got a ton of gas left in the tank. So a lot of people, when they hear the words retire, they're like, all right, how much has he got left? No, Aaron Donald's, you can make the argument, still in the prime of his career. But it's just how much he's dominated the league at his position for 8 years. And he's still dominating the league. So I think this was a must need for the Rams. And I think the Rams, if they want to win another one, because we all know how big Aaron Donald came up in the Super Bowl. I mean, he came up big. I mean, that last play of the Super Bowl, you had Jamar Chase wide open downfield. If Donald doesn't get to Burrow, there's a chance Burrow chucks that ball downfield to Chase, and the Bengals are Super Bowl champions. And we today might be talking about something completely different than Aaron Donald, winning a Super Bowl. Most likely we wouldn't even talk about Aaron Donald because Aaron Donald wouldn't want a new contract. He'd come back to play anyway because he wants that championship so badly. But he made the big play in the big game. He got the big hit, and they win the Super Bowl. And he got what he wanted. 8 years where he suffered a lot of losing in the Rams in the early parts with Jeff Fisher. Even more recently, the Rams with Jared Goff. They've underachieved. They've went under expectations. They bring in Matt Stafford. They kind of build a super team, if you will. Add that to the likes of already where Cooper Kupp, you already got, Jalen Ramsey and all those pieces in place, and they go win a Super Bowl. And the Rams, if they want to win another one, you cannot possibly lose Aaron Donald. If you want to win back-to-back, you cannot lose Aaron Donald. So not only did Aaron Donald want this deal to get done, I think if you're the Rams, they needed to get this deal done. Whether you wanted to pay the money or not, you needed to get this deal done. And they did. They make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history. We all know what he brings to the table in terms of his physicality, his toughness, his speed off the edge, his ability to get to the quarterback, his ability to disrupt passing, his ability to disrupt the run. You can't run by him because he just strips off the tacklers just like nothing. The offensive tackle, he breaks off of them just like nothing. He's quick. He does so much good things for this Rams team, specifically the Rams defense. And if you're the Rams, you got to be thrilled about this. Because yes, it's a lot of money, but you're giving a lot of money to a guy that is making not just an impact, but a huge impact. And if you lost him to retirement, your team would have been not as good as it was last year because that's how much he brings to the table, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. But just as a leader in the locker room, too. He loves the game. He just wants to win. He's passionate. And he knows what it takes, too. He's won it now. And so has many other guys on the roster. Now they know what it takes. So now you can go ahead and try to win back-to-back. We'll see it. So we'll see how it all plays out. But for sure, Rams get a big, big piece back to their defense. So Aaron Donald, Rams agreed to rework contract, highest paid non-quarterback in history. The Los Angeles Rams and star defensive tackle Aaron Donald have reportedly agreed to new terms on his contract. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network shared the details of the deal that makes the star defender the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. So this is what Rappaport tweeted out. So the Rams get their Super Bowl hero back for guaranteed $65 million over the next 2 seasons, with the contract structured to allow Aaron Donald to retire or return in 2024 for an additional guaranteed $30 million. So, like I said, he'd probably retire. 2-year deal now. He's probably going to retire because that'd be, 10 years in the league? Probably would retire. Unless, I've always wondered that. Like, if you're an athlete, and I've always wondered how you want it. Like, I personally would always want to end it on a high note, but there's also that aspect where you play the what-if game. Hypothetically speaking, let's say they win it again this year and they win it again next year. 3 straight Super Bowl titles. Do you go for 4? Do you just keep going until it stops? Or do you just say, look, we've won 3 straight, I'm ending my career on 3 straight, and keep it going? Because then you play the what-if game. If you all of a sudden outbuild, let's say the Rams build a dynasty now, and they win 2 more straight, which I think the Rams are a great team, but you don't realize how hard it is to win 3 straight. I don't think it's going to happen. Great team. Is it possible they win another one? Yeah. Is it possible they go back-to-back? Yeah. I mean, they're a great team. But you also have a lot of other forces in the NFC. Not as good as the AFC, but you also have, like I said, the AFC teams that are coming up now. I mean, you got, teams like the Chiefs, Bills. We all know what they're capable of. Bengals, will definitely be in the mix again. No doubt about that. Chargers are a team to look on your radar. We all know what the AFC is capable of. You look at look at the AFC West. I mean, even the Raiders, not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but they're a dark horse team. So the Rams, it's going to be hard, especially if they come to the Super Bowl again and they got to play a high-powered offense like the Bills or the Chiefs. I know I'm talking way in advance, but I'm just laying it out there. Like, hypothetically speaking, because we wondered this with the 90s Bulls, where they broke up the team, and you wonder if they kept going, and they could have won a 7th. And if they kept going there and they could have won an 8th. And if they kept going, they could have won a 9th. Like, how many could they have won? Now, there was a point, obviously, where they're all going to retire. But you seriously wonder the what if. You do play the what if game. A lot of people think the Bulls could have went on to win 8. 2 more. Some people think it was over. I'm a believer in they probably would have at least 1 or 2 more. That's how dominant that Bulls team was. So, you wonder, hypothetically speaking, if they win this year and they win next year, which would then be it for him, because that's 2 years. You'd wonder if he keeps going to see how many more they can get, or if he just calls it quit. So, I'm not saying they're going to 3 straight. I don't think they will. Like I said, I think they'll be definitely in the conversation. They definitely could very well get back. Not saying they're going in 3 straight, but if they would, what would Donald's decision be? That would be an interesting storyline. And if he does say, all right, I'm going to move on and retire, and then they don't win the year after that's when the what-if game comes in. Which is what we've all done with the Bulls. Because you do play the what-if game with the Bulls. If Jerry Krause never broke up that team, you really wonder how many more they could have won. Could they have won 3 more? Could they have kept winning? I've kind of been a believer in, if you're a GM, I don't break up a team until they start to lose. Like, if you're continuing to win, like Jerry Krause, he broke up that team after they won a championship. I wouldn't do that. Nationals kind of did that. I wouldn't do that. I break up a team until they start to show signs of slowing down. If you're winning 3 straight, I'm giving if you're all free agents, I'm giving money to the free agents, I'm bringing you back. We're going to see how many we can win. I'm not, you win 6, you go 6-0 in the finals, you win a final and then say, all right, look, it's over with, we're moving on from this group. Why? You're winning. Why move on? Anyway, so that was just my little bit of my rant and kind of an interesting storyline that could become. Not going to happen, like I said. 3 straight in the NFL's almost impossible. 3 straight in any sport, very, very difficult to do. I shouldn't say not impossible. I shouldn't say impossible. But we know how hard it is, right? I don't have to sit here and say how hard it is to win 3 straight. They've won 1. They're definitely going to be in the conversation without a doubt. They're going to go into this season as one of the favorites to win it all, rightfully so, and we'll see what they do. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported March 19th that Los Angeles was pushing to get a new deal done with Donald in progress had already been made. Fowler also reported in February that Donaldson was seeking to become the highest paid defensive player in the league. The new deal for Donald comes almost 3 months after Rams announced a 4-year extension with quarterback Matt Stafford. The Los Angeles had a clear goal this offseason of keeping its core intact from last year's Super Bowl team, and has done just that. By locking Donald in, the Rams are ensuring that he will likely finish his storied career with the franchise. There had been reports before Los Angeles' 23-20 victory in the Super Bowl victory over the Cincinnati Bengals that Donaldson was considering retirement, but his new deal maps out a clear path for his future. A 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Donald is universally regarded as one of the best defensive linemen ever to play football. He's been wreaking havoc on opposing offenses since he was drafted in 2014, earning 8 consecutive Pro Bowl selections and 7 straight first-team All-Pro selections. Donald has never finished lower than 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting in his 8-year career. Donald recorded a career-high 84 total tackles and led Los Angeles in quarterback hits 25, tackles for loss 19, and sacks 12.5, and forced fumbles 4 last season. He added 9 quarterback hits and 3.5 sacks during the postseason to help lead the Rams to their first title since 1999. Retaining Donald ensures that the Rams will have one of the best defenses in the league for years to come. Los Angeles is in great position to compete for another Super Bowl in 2022. So that's what I got at Aaron Donald. Big deal for him, big deal for the Rams, and the Rams get their best defensive piece back as they look for another Super Bowl title. All right, so let's get to the New York sports update here and finish things off for the podcast here today. Like I said, no NBA today. That will be back in action tomorrow, so we'll get you ready for that game tomorrow. As for the MLB today, you got a full slate. Rangers, Guardians, Diamondbacks, Reds, Marlins, Nationals, Rangers, Guardians as well, doubleheader. Cubs, Orioles, Tigers, Pirates, Cardinals, Rays, Angels. Jeez, messed up. Rangers and Athletics I put in the same sentence. A's, Braves, Blue Jays, Royals, Dodgers, White Sox, Mariners, Astros, Phillies, Brewers, Red Sox, Angels, Rockies, Giants. Game 2 of the 3-game set today between the Mets and the Padres. Mets come into this one 38-19. Padres come into this one 33-22. Tom Walker's on the mound for the Mets. He's 3-1 with a 2.88 ERA, and the Padres have Yu Darvish on the mound. He's 4-3 with a 4.03 ERA. The over-under is set at 7.5. You can find this one 9:40 p.m. Eastern on SNY. And as for the Yankees game comes on today, 7:40 p.m. Eastern. Yankees come into this one 39-15. Twins come into this one 32-24. The Yankees have Jameson Taillon on the mound. He's 6-1 with a 2.30 ERA. 7:40 p.m. Eastern. You can find this one on I believe it's Taillon on the mound. On here it says Taillon. I could have sworn it was Nasty Nestor, though, but I guess it's Taillon. Let me check. Twins pitching has not been announced yet. I could have sworn it was Nasty Nestor. Maybe not. Maybe it is Taillon. Yeah, it's Taillon. Nasty Nestor will be on tomorrow. Okay, so it is Taillon. So Taillon coming off a great start will look to continue his success this season. And a big game for tonight in Tampa. Game 2 in Tampa, Game 4 of the series. Rangers up 2-1 in the series, look to take a very big 3-1 lead as they head back to the Garden for Game 5 on Thursday. Tonight's game, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, over-under set at 5.5. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Rangers. Get a very big win tonight. Get back to the Garden 3-1. Win the series. Go to the Stanley Cup. That sounds great if you ask me. All right? That's what the Rangers got to do. Take care of business. Let's go. All right, fantasy baseball. I'm currently getting smoked. I'm losing 53-8 in my main league. I only had like 4 players going yesterday, so not much production out of them. Today I do have 3 starting pitchers and most of my my entire starting lineup back. I got Carlos Rodon, Tariq Skubal, and Taijuan Walker on the mound today. All right, so and as for my other league, currently losing as well, 25-11. And I've also got some starting pitching going in that league too. Logan, Carlos Rodon, and Michael Kopech. Now in my main league, I'm 7-1, so this is a big week, and I'm going up against somebody. And I'm going up against somebody that is 1-7. So I'm 7-1. I should win this week. Rodon, Scooball, Tom Walker need big performances out of those three guys today to get back into this, the matchup. It's only Tuesday, so still, you got the whole week up until Sunday to go. So it just started, but you need a lot of good starting pitching. Starting pitching is big in fantasy baseball. That's the most important. That's why I lost last year. I came in second last year, but that's why, because I didn't have my opponent had great starting pitching. My starting pitching kind of ran out of gas, if you will. So anyway, that will do it for the podcast today. Another good one in the books. We'll be back tomorrow for another podcast. Like I said, I'm able to really do them now daily again, and as we get into the summer and all that good stuff. Let me think. Tomorrow, I want to get to Deebo Samuel because he looks like he's going to attend minicamp. So you wonder if that saga's over with. You wonder if maybe there is a deal in place and they're just waiting for the right time. Because it's kind of funny how all of a sudden he might attend minicamp after looking like it was going to be looking like it was going to be firm that he was not going to attend training camp, not going to attend minicamp, and not going to do anything 49ers related until they gave him a deal. So maybe the tides are turning a little bit. Maybe there is a little bit of positive coming out of that situation. As you all know, we'll also recap the Ranger game tomorrow and all that good stuff. So that will do it for the podcast here today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. As always, see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.